everybody. Welcome to the Jefferson State Community College Simulation Lab. Today I want to talk to you about how to use the Laerdal patient monitors. Each of the monitors in the simulation lab are touch screen. So depending on your scenario, the monitor may be running for you, or you may need to turn it on to reveal your vital signs. So to reveal your vital signs, you need to touch where it says touch. So if your ECG is off, meaning your patient's heart monitor, you're going to touch here. If you would like to see your patient's oxygen saturation, touch here. If you are working with the SimMan Essential, then to turn on the SpO2 monitor, instead of touching the touchscreen monitor, you will take the sat probe and place it on any one of the fingers of the SimMan. When you do that, your sat will appear. You typically won't need to worry about the CO2 because it's not something that we cover until the later semesters. Something else for you to know is that your blood pressures are not continuous. So for you to have an updated blood pressure on your patient, you must either do a manual blood pressure or hit the start-stop button down here in this row. You'll hear it blowing up like a Dynamap, and then whenever the blood pressure is finished, it will reveal itself right here. So we have 120/80 with a mean of 93. One of the things that you can do is you can touch, if you know you want your patient's vital signs taken every 5 minutes, or if you have a physician's order saying to do that, you can always scroll down and change it from manual to auto and say I want it set at any of these particular times. So I'll say every 5 minutes. So now every 5 minutes that patient's blood pressure will update. It is still up to me to see what those vital signs are, what that blood pressure is, and report it if it needs to be reported. Something else you can do by touching the graphics is, if your instructor has already covered this in your class, you can touch the screen on the graphics and it will bring up this menu. Primary lead 2. That means that's the typical lead that we see on an ECG. However, if things are going on with your patient and you want a different view, you can touch that and you have all of these choices as to which lead you would like to see on your patient. Graphic trends, that will show as the scenario progresses different things that have happened with your patient, or we can pre-program some in should we ever choose to. It's not a common thing that we'll do, but it is available. If you arrow over this way, you can see that you have a QRS volume, which means the sound of the beat that is constant on your monitor. You can change how loud or how soft that is. So 10 would be your loudest, and 0 would be no sound at all. And you can choose to set it as a group however you want to. I would encourage you never to turn off your sounds, because the sound that you hear can actually alert you to different things going on with your patient that you might otherwise miss. The next thing is the alarm volume. So we set critical alarms for each patient. So say for here, a heart rate of above 130 or below 50 is going to alarm. And it's going to give you a loud dinging sound. You can change how loud or soft that is, just like you do the QRS volume. Again, I would encourage you to never turn it off because you may miss something. You can pause your alarm if you like, and that will just pause it for probably a minute to 2 minutes. The other thing that you can do is you can silence an alarm. If you are aware of an alarm and you're reporting it, you can silence it for a little while. I would be very careful about when you choose to do such. The last thing that I want to talk to you about is your 12-lead ECG. If you have covered this in class and you have a scenario where you think that a 12-lead is appropriate for your patient, or you have a physician's order to tell you to do an ECG, a 12-lead, then you can hit this button right here, and that will pop up a 12-lead EKG that shows you a picture of what was going on at the moment that you touched the button. Again, like your blood pressure, that is not continuous. So if you close it out, then you go back to your normal screen. And you can always, if you have a change in your patient that you think it would be appropriate for you to do another one, you can hit the button again. So now say you do that and something is immediately changing, your patient's condition is changing. You can also hit update, and that will give you a new view of what's going on with your patient.